yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. So thank you again, Joe, for writing another episode of Anti-Hero Chronicles. This show is really turning out to be so much fun. And let's move on to the next segment, which is Mr. Ray Johnson's segment. What are we going to call this segment? Do we have a name for this segment?
I just thought it was Ray's Reviews or something like that.
Ray's Reviews. We'll put a pin in that one. We'll keep that one around for now. We'll call it Ray's Reviews for now. And
rhymes with Ray.
Yeah. We'll keep thinking about it. But Ray has a Soundbooth Theater T-shirt on.
Yes, he does.
Look at that. A polo.
The gentleman's T-shirt.
The gentleman's T.
Right. So Ray, thank you so much for being thematic while you come and hang out with us on Soundbooth Theater Live. How are you doing, man?
I'm grand as always. I'm feeling just capital lately, so cannot complain about life. Cannot complain.
Perfect. So you got some reviews for us?
I do. I have two things I'm going to discuss today, and I'll do the one semi quickly, and then I'll go into the other. The first one I'm going to talk about is Towers of Heaven, Book 3 by Cameron Milan, and it's narrated by Steve Campbell. And the first thing I want to say is Steve Campbell is one of my favorite narrators. You know, I've got a handful of people I never miss. You guys are one of the SBTs, one of my favorites. I've got several other people that I try to not miss at all if I can. And Steve is one of the prime ones there. I just love Steve immensely. He does a great job on this series. And the issue I have is with this book is that book 1 and 2 really had like a lot of story buildup and progression, and it was a little different from what you normally expect. I'm not a big into tower stories, so to speak, like you have to climb levels and things like that. And this book really gripped me from the start. I mean, it was just like book 1 was like, wow, book 2 was great. And then book 3, it was like Cameron kind of like went off on a tangent, and he kind of didn't do any of the things he did in book 1 and 2. And it was impressively rushed is the best way I can say it. It seemed like he just wanted to get the series closed out and finished. So there was a lot more, the saying, show, don't tell. It was kind of the inverse of that. It was like, I'm going to tell you a whole lot of stuff that happens. And then, then you go from there. So I enjoyed it, but I was really let down by the way that the book completed itself, the series completed. And I hate to do that, but I'm going to say it was like a 6.75. It was like a 6 3/4 stars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, cause it was just, the first 2 books were great, just really off the charts, great. And the way it just shifted tone and the storytelling was just too huge of a leap and a change to say this is the same thing. I mean, like if I'd read book 1 and it was like that, maybe I'd been okay with it because I was used to it, but it was just too rushed. It really just felt like he was like, I'm done with this, get it out of the way. And that's just the way it came across. So I was kind of, I debated it too. Cause I'm like, Steve kills in this book. He does so many different voices. And he does an amazing job with it. But even that just could not save the way the story ended. So.
Yeah, man. Well, speaking of Steve Campbell, we need to start talking to that guy some more. Soundbooth Theater is doing some expanding this year, and there's a lot of names we need to be calling up, I think.
Yeah, I think he'd be great, but I know he's a busy man. I was talking to him about the next book in the Nightmare series that I'm writing, and he's booked up until like August already. That's the earliest he can do anything. So he is really picking up speed. Something about those Canadians up there, they just never stop working, Yeah. So JTJ's out delivering peas and he's back there, But the next book I'm going to do is actually I'm going to do the whole series right up to this point, up to book 4, is He Who Fights with Monsters. And like you said earlier, Jeff, it always kind of coincides. If you talk about one, the other one's always brought up. So if somebody says Dungeon Crawler Carl, somebody else brings up, He Who Fights With. And so I did Carl last time I was on, and I thought this is the perfect dichotomy. I'll just do this one and this one. In the first book, I wasn't really in love with the story. I have to say, to me, it was like a 7.5. It was too much of the main character was a smart ass, but I can handle smart ass, main characters, the MCs, but he was too quick to pick up on everything. I mean, not even like the magic. It was more like the politics in the town. He's like, nah, I can handle that guy. I'll just, I'll win him, outthink him. He outdoes everybody. And he was like a photocopy guy or something in the previous life. So it wasn't like he had a whole lot of experience doing politics or, understanding the nuances of like, criminal machinations and that sort of stuff. So I really wasn't in love with it. Book 2, I was like, okay, it's improving. He's growing on me. Book 3, by that point, I really like Jason. And book 4, it really takes a big detour. Now, like I said before, with book 3 for Towers of Heaven, it veered off. And it's the same thing here with book 4. But for me, and I know a lot of people had complained, I try not to read reviews or anything like that when I'm reading a book. I might do that afterwards. But a lot of people didn't like book 4 because of the direction it took. And to me, it was actually something the series totally needed. He goes back home to Earth, and I'm not trying to give spoilers, but I mean, that's what the whole book is about. And all the things that he had done in the previous books were like, well, I really love my family. I've got to talk to my family. And when I get back, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And you get some really touching family moments in the book that you don't expect. So there's not a real big bad guy in the book. There's not somebody that you're like, wow, this is so dangerous. And I think that might be what the problem is that it's not an overwhelming villain and he's not really faced with any challenges. It's more of here's just some character growth, and we're gonna put this out there today. I would almost say this is like an 8.75 for me. It was really close to perfect for me. And like I said, I don't get very emotional. I'm almost a robot when it comes to some stuff. As a film director, I had to be inured to use displays of emotions and people being upset all the time. And I got choked up a couple of times, especially when he was dealing with his niece. Just that fact alone was just impressive, and I could get that choked up. And so for me, it was like a really good shift. And of course, I think book 5, we're going to go back to the old stuff. But it was a really good thing. So, I mean, overall, the series is at least an 8.5 stars altogether. I can't say I like it better than Dungeon Crawler Carl. Carl's, he's one of my favorites. I mean, your voice for Carl Donut amazes me. And this one, and Heath, the guy that narrates the series, is incredible. He really does have a wide range of voices. He does a lot of different accents. He's really good. And so that's a plus. But I still think Carl kind of wins out in the end. And before I end this segment, I have to ask you, Jeff, how the hell did you get the Critical Drinker, of all people, to come on to do that? Because when I saw that, I was like, is Jeff calling himself the Critical Drinker now? Because I know.
No. So I don't know if you knew this, but our lead editor, Sin Vasquez, she has her own YouTube channel. Yeah. And she does reaction videos, and she's actually got quite a following. She's got, I don't know, maybe 15,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, I know she gets a lot of views.
Yeah, and when she started ramping up, she started making connections with other YouTubers, and Critical Drinker is just one of her favorites, who she actually interviewed on one of her videos. So we had like a little in there, right? And when I got to that part in the book, I was like, drunk Scotsman. Drunk dwarf.
I know one of those.
I think I'll try this out. And so, I called him up. I directed him in a session. He was in a professional, sound studio in Scotland. And I just directed him via video, and just got that little scene from him. And I didn't really want much. I just wanted the drinker to be the drinker. Right. And that's exactly what he did, and it fits perfectly, in my opinion, because I mean, drunk dwarf. What do you want?
Right. Right. So, well, he even had his major line. His line was
there. We added that. Did you? I was going to ask. Did you? Yeah. Go away now. So it was just perfect. So eventually he promoted Dungeon Crawler Carl to his fan base. He's got like, I don't know, 1.5 million subscribers now, right?
Right.
He got plenty. But yeah, that's just the story. I just figured, hey, let's try some cross promo stuff, and it turned out well. I've run into quite a few listeners who are like, dude, I found you guys through Critical Drinker. this is you guys are the shit, you know. So it's like, yeah, it worked.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. I had to say, I was so in love with it. I piled through the audiobooks. I was enjoying Caro anyway, but as soon as I saw Critical Drinker, I was like, I really can't wait. I just have to hear these scenes, hear him do his thing, you know. And so by the time I got to it, I was so deep into it. I was just enmeshed in the world. But I could not wait to get there just because he was in that book. Not that Soundbooth Theater doesn't make me do that with everything they do, because I do enjoy all of your work. But it was a fun little, you know, niblet of just juiciness that you just couldn't pass up. So
niblet, I like that.
Niblet.
It's just a slightly less gross, perhaps cute giblet or giblet.
Indeed. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, dude, that's really cool. You're actually making me want to continue to consider listening to He Who Fights with Monsters, especially because, you know, I want to investigate this Heath Miller character. It's so hard for me to keep up with narrators, like, you know, having our own batch of people and watching out for them, and you know, concentrating on our own work. It's like,
right,
that's something that we as narrators don't do enough, is investigate each other's work and investigate who's coming up and figure out why. You know, like I want to learn more about the guy, and I want to hear his performance. So a recommendation from you is very high praise, so I'm gonna give it another shot.
Okay, good. You'll enjoy it, I think.
Awesome. Well, Ray, thank you so much for your Rayviews.
Rayviews.
There we
That's
go.
Rayviews. Better than Knucklehead reviews or something, you know.
Can we just take out the Rays?
Rayviews.
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 Nice and tight. Rayviews. we need to get
some Rayviews.
Rayviews. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll stick a pin in that one too. Ray, you let us know if you find something.
We'll think upon it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So thank you for that review. And now we will go to Mr. Angelus Maximus's Arcani book here. I'm going to sweep the stage. It'll be just me. You guys can go smoke crack for a little bit.
Yes, love smoking crack.